Great to have you with us. Now, Health Minister Kwaku Agyeman-Manu has admitted he made an error in not submitting the contract with Sheikh Maktoum for Sputnik V vaccine supplied to Parliament for prior approval. He says the error will not be committed again going into the future. The minister says the decision not to seek parliamentary approval in contravention of requirements of the Constitution was because Ghanaians were dying from COVID. He says he was desperate to get vaccines and was frustrated because regular vaccine supply sources had failed. He's been responding to questions at the sitting of a parliamentary committee probing the contracts.
Did you seek parliamentary approval before you entered into this contract?
No, please.
You did not.
Have you any such plans?
I thought she was going to have a follow-up question. I had plans to come to regularize the parliamentary approval, to seek for parliamentary approval after I've signed the contract.
Do you appreciate the fact that the pronouncement by the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the constitutional provision clearly talks about prior approval? You appreciate that?
Honourable Chair, very much so. But my frustrations to try to get a vaccine for us at the heat of our second wave, I relied on the Executive Instrument 61 that was passed by Parliament to hide behind emergency clauses that have been invoked, to try to see if I could do that and come to Parliament to inform Parliament that this is what I've done and therefore need regularization. I need approval to cover it because we were in dire need of the vaccines, and I had the onus to try to procure the vaccines to vaccinate Ghanaians to protect our lives.
But the EI is subsidiary legislation.
Honourable Chair, I must be very honest with you. At the time, I've mentioned my frustration was the fact that I seriously made that error, and on hindsight, it won't happen any longer.
Mr. Minister, you are a senior member of this House, and you are aware of how we deal with emergency situations in Parliament. We have conventions and rules and regulations governing how you deal with emergency issues, i.e. appearing before the relevant committee and make a case so that the issue can be dealt with as an emergency issue. Why didn't you take advantage of that procedure?
Honourable Chair, I've explained that those were not normal times, and I was seriously in the situation that couldn't make me think properly, the way you think that now I will actually address myself to the situation.
Mr. Minister, are you aware that we have dealt with issues and motions on the same day before on the floor of the House, in this House? And let me give you examples. You remember the $1.2 billion and the $100 million from the World Bank? We dealt with it the same day. Couldn't you have done that?
I could have done that, but the circumstances at the time was a little bit different.
Honourable Minister, you have laid evidence before this committee that you used your best efforts to get diplomatic channels to enable you reach the manufacturer or the Russian authority directly. Is that correct?
Yes.
You even did so by producing letters as evidence of such correspondence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You further indicated that it was after all those best endeavors have proved futile before you dealt with the Sheikh. Is that correct?
That might not be correct. I dealt with the Sheikh before the frantic efforts to try to get the vaccines from the right source.
So, were you being untruthful to this committee when you indicated that you used your best efforts to get direct access to the manufacturer and the Russian authorities before you dealt with the Sheikh?
I can't remember I have said this, Anyway, what I said was that I made efforts, but I didn't just oppose the timing of the efforts that I made.
Away from that story, prices of foodstuffs have seen a significant increase. At the Techiman Central Market, for instance, a bag of maize which was sold at 160 Ghana cedis in July 2020 is now being sold at 375 Ghana cedis. The traders are attributing the hike in prices to the scarcity of the commodity, coupled with the high transportation costs as traders travel to neighboring countries in search of the commodity. My colleague Anna Sabit has been engaging some of these traders and now reports.
Maize prices have skyrocketed to a record high here at the Techiman Central Market here in the Bono East region. A bag of maize, which is being sold at 160 Ghana cedis in July 2020, currently is being sold at 375 Ghana cedis. This, according to the traders here, is heavily affecting their businesses as they have to travel to neighboring countries to buy maize to be sold here at the Techiman Central Market.
Secretary to the Techiman Maize Sellers Association, Nana Obri Yeboah, says the hike in prices is being fueled by two factors: the lack of rains and the switch to cashew plantation by farmers in the area.
Last year, there is not enough rains. The rains race through the upper west, upper east, the northern side. That's the 1 point. And then when it comes to Bonahafo and then Ashanti region, most of the farmers now they are using their lands for cashew growing and has left only small portions of lands. That's why here we don't have enough maize.
The hike has also affected a lot of these traders here, as some of them are currently out of business because they need huge sums of money to be able to travel to neighboring countries to buy this maize. So a number of them are currently out of business, leaving only a few who have enough money to be able to embark on these journeys.
Da Emmanuel is the treasurer of the Techiman Maize Sellers Association. We travel long distances to get the commodity, and due to the high travel costs, some sellers are currently out of business because they can't afford the transportation cost. Now, if you don't have enough money, you can't travel to long distances to buy, and as a result, a lot of us are out of business. Aside the fact that these sellers go through a lot of struggles to get the commodity to sell, they also risk losing their monies to fraudsters and sometimes to armed robbers. Nana Manyakun shares what they go through with Joy News. We travel to Burkina Faso and sometimes beyond, and this has contributed to the hike in prices. And we face a lot of risks, including armed robbery attacks. We are sometimes deceived by fraudsters, and when we get there, they run away with our monies. All these contribute to the hike in prices.
Now, sellers and consumers of Kenkey are bearing the brunt of these increases. Some of them has been speaking to Joy News.
It is come 2.5. Lockdown the ban na 2.5. After the when they buy it, na ebro could 3.5. Yes, Saturday ya kasa. After the if 3.5 no na equal 4.5. It is 4.5 is me kokoto a kala me de bottom me daba and when obe ya to car no.
A bag of maize used to sell at 250 cedis during the lockdown. It was increased to 350 cedis. We complained about it, and it's being sold at 450 cedis now. The cost of transport, the mill, and other expenses as well as labor made me increase the price of Kenkey from 1 cedi to 1 cedi 50 pesos and now 2 cedis.
1.15, but 1.5 still. Now, mintum in do baby or semi doing. This is some 2 cedis.
Biane abeli ejale wawa ewo honey ni hello hu am a complainer because first ne kan wo bo 1 cedi ni kebo ko hie 1 cedi ba na ko shi biane ko hie 1 cedi onyo na eko ewo honey one way or the other affects fabric.
The price of maize is really expensive now, so I had to increase the KK from 1 cedi to 1 cedi 50 pesos and 2 cedis. Our customers keep complaining, but we can't help it.
Expensive, it's too high.
Into almost wide at to because first never bro rubber cocoa 10 cedis and 250. Into ocean was our cost 15 cedis grand, but that's so easy.
The farmers say things are expensive, so they have increased their produce, and we have no option than to do same. Fish is expensive, and all this affects us all.
So you don't even get satisfied after eating. You have to spend about 10 cedis for a decent kinky meal in order to get satisfied.
What I can say about the kinky issue is that for the past 3 to 4 years, the prices of the kinky was not as compared to this time. Because at first we used to sell kinky 1 cedi, but now due to some inflation and other things, so kinky has increased to 2 cedis and now even 3 cedis. And even the sizes of the 2 cedis is just like the size of 1 cedi that we used to purchase years back. And we don't know where the cost or where it's coming from, but we are in Ghana, so we have to take it like that. And people are complaining that you are tolerant for anymore into them that BBA or they are told.
Now, the Malamata market here in Accra, checks by Joy News' Manuel Cranting show a general increase in vegetables and fish products prices. Traders have been attributing the hike in prices to the shortage of commodities across the country. Director of Programs at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Nyaba, is calling for immediate government intervention. We'll get that later in the day. Now, the Crops Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research has also held a Farmers Field Day program at Ampimkrom, a suburb of Techiman in the Bono East region. The aim of the project is to introduce farmers to good agronomic practices, which gears towards tackling low soil fertility status as a major contributing factor, leading to low cassava productivity on a farmer's field. Before we hear from our correspondent, Anna Sabit, let's hear Charles Nyaba, who speaks for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana on the hike in food prices.
The reason why we are seeing drastic increase in maize prices across the country has to do with what happened in 2020. Remember last year around this time, the COVID started, and then there were restrictions in movement of goods and services. Apart from that, coupled with problems with the financial crisis, most farmers couldn't actually get credit to do their farming activity. And we indicated last year that if nothing is done about it, we are likely to face food crisis. Coupled with that, our neighboring countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, Togo, came in their numbers to also buy maize from Ghana. So all this actually led to shortage of maize in the system. I had the privilege of supplying maize to some poultry farmers, and for the past 1 month, it has been very difficult for all of us. The maize is not even there. So the few who have been able to store their maize at this time are those who are selling it at that price. In addition to the drought that happened at the early part of the season last year, and then the flooding that happened around September and October the same year. So there were a couple of factors that actually hit us last year. And going forward, I think we gave a series of recommendations which were not, or which most of them were not hit to. And then we hope that if, we are thinking that if measures are not put in place, we are likely to have the same thing occurring in 2021.
Now, the Ghana Statistical Service has once more extended the period for this year's population and housing census. The 2021 Population and Housing Census was scheduled to end on June 28, but was first extended to July 18, and now the latest announcement. According to government statistician Professor Millennium, this extension has become necessary to be able to fully cover some areas in the country where enumerators could not fully reach everyone. He explained that for most parts of the country, the target has been achieved, but there are still places, particularly in the Greater Accra region, where they were only able to capture 94% of the population.
Okay, so I'll take that again. As I indicated in the release, 94% of the expected households have been reached. The census taking was structured in a manner that the first 2 weeks was to give us an assessment of the workload. So we identified all structures, all households, and for that matter, the usual persons that are in those households and institutions. Of those households that we identified during the first 2 weeks of the exercise, 94% of these households have been reached during the enumeration phase of the exercise. So indeed, we have a 6% target that we are working towards. Within this 6%, as I indicated, we have varied reasons why we've not reached out to these 6% of the expected households. These varied reasons range from areas, specifically the Gan West, the Katamanso, the Gan North, the Gan South. As I mentioned, that they are fast-growing areas, and in some of these areas, indeed, even as at yesterday, listing and enumeration were still ongoing. In most of the places, I can say on authority, 99% of the places, listing is completed, and we have a sense of the workload, in which case it's enumeration that is currently ongoing.
Now, Professor Millennium also explained that most of the challenges they faced at the start of the listing and enumeration have been dealt with, but there are still issues with people not willing to cooperate with the census officials.
With the places that we've identified the households, but respondents are unwilling to participate in the census exercise, we can only use persuasion as at this stage. Although the law allows us to pursue prosecution in the event where somebody declines in participating in the census exercise, for this window of the data collection phase, we'll continue to use persuasion. We continue to use public education to explore the possibility of getting people to respond to the calls from our enumerators. We are giving ourselves up to the 30th of the month to make up for the 6% that we have left outstanding. We are pretty optimistic that we're going to cover that. But once we share with you the release on the 30th of July 2021, it will be clear to us whether there will be further extension to the data collection exercise or otherwise.
Now, my colleague Kweku Asante joins us via telephone with more. Kweku, can you run us through the specific areas where census officials could not complete their enumeration and have to return?
Right, so according to
Kweku, please reposition yourself. The quality of the connection is very poor. Right. Kweku, are you there? Right. Unfortunately, the phone lines are not very good. Kweku, we will call you back to get that information from you. But in the meantime, Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame is confident that a new Conduct of Public Officers bill to be presented to Parliament will boost the fight against corruption. This bill, he explains, is to strengthen the role of the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate various matters, including involving public officers. It was laid in the previous Parliament, but was not passed before its expiration of term on January 7, 2021. The AG's office is therefore commencing the entire process again, with the hope that it will eventually receive parliamentary approval. We'll hear from Mr. Dame after the break. You're live on Joy News today. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now hear from Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame. Right, before we speak to Mr. Dame, though, let's go on the phone lines and speak to Kweku Asante, who is on standby at the Ghana Statistical Service news conference. Kweku, tell us first of all the areas that have not been covered by the Ghana Statistical Service.
Right, Daniel, according to the government statistician, the majority of these 25 districts that have not been fully counted are in the Greater Accra region, Gan West Municipal Assembly, Gan North, Atentio Municipal, Pond, Katamanso, Lejokuku, Tema West, Gan East, Lankwansalan Madina, Ayawaso West Municipal, Sayo Sudoku, Ewutu Senya East, and Krowa Municipal. The rest are Digo Pram, Kokoa East, Wasam, P Central, Simon, Central, in Sawam, Gan Central, Gan South, Tapa, and Kapim North, Cape South, and Kapim South. So, Daniel, these 25 districts, majority of them, close to 18, currently in the Greater Accra region, where they've only been able to cover 94%, and they're expecting to cover the 6% using the next period. The government statistician stopped short at saying exactly how long this session is going to take. But he gave a clue. He said that the next meeting of the Ghana Statistical Service and the media will be on the 30th of April, and he expected that by then they should have completed this mop-up.
So he wasn't clear on when exactly they want to complete the work?
No, he did not say that. What he said is that he's expecting that by 30th, when they meet the press again to offer an update on what they've been able to do in terms of counting, they would have completed the mop-up by then.
Thank you very much, Kweku Asante, for bringing us those updates from that presser. You're live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daz. And now the Asantehene Otumfuo Setutu II wants the African continent to chart a new path to develop in a post-COVID-19 world. He predicted a post-pandemic world would do away with dependency, hence the need for a self-reliant approach to survival. He made the remarks at the Millennium Excellence Awards at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi.
According to Asantehene, COVID-19 and climate change have threatened the development of the African continent. He therefore expects governments and citizenry to brace up for the new order the pandemic leaves behind.
Someone has to open the eyes and minds of the people of Africa to the reality that in the post-COVID world, we are on our own and we swim or sink on our own stream. This new reality has no room for any dependency syndrome, and governments and citizens alike must wake up to the imperative need to chart new paths, embrace new thinking, must have the fresh courage to acknowledge our common good and have the courage to work together for its realization.
The Asantehene acknowledged COVID-19 has had mild impact on the continent, but he is unhappy partisan politics have further delayed the development of the continent. He wants Ghana to chart a different path, especially as leadership of both executive and legislative arms of government are led by persons from opposing parties.
It begins with the two mighty figures, unfortunately the speaker is not here, who we honor today. For the first time in our history, we have leaders from opposing parties leading the executive and legislature. Many see this as a natural prescription for chaos and ineffectual governance. I see it as an opportunity for statesmanship, for rational interchange of ideas.
President Akufo-Addo, in responding to Asantehene's call for unity in developing the country, said there is synergy between the executive and legislature despite difference in party leadership.
My government was passed by the parliament without too much controversy. The budget of the first term of my second administration was also passed by the parliament. These are the two key legislative interventions that go towards the formation of the government, and both of those were done in a very good spirit, and I thank the Speaker very much for contributing to this occurrence and this eventuality. It has meant that the difficulties that people felt I would have in being able to get important matters through this Parliament have not in fact materialized, and it is because of the spirit of cooperation that I've received from the Speaker.
The 2020 prestigious Millennium Excellence Awards was in celebration of African and international achievers. A coveted Gold Coast Award was conferred on President Akufo-Addo for his free senior high school policy and other interventions to change the lives of people. The Millennium Excellence Awards is held every 5 years to celebrate individuals and organizations who have had positive impact on the African society. Many individuals from diverse fields were honored at the occasion, including investigative journalist Manasseh Azure Awuni. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
And congratulations to all award winners at the Millennium Excellence Awards. This is Joy News Today. It's time for business with Daryl Kwao. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. General insecurity, including illegal fishing, pirate attacks, and threats of terrorism along West Africa's waters, could pose a general food security challenge for the country and the continent as a whole if urgent measures are not taken. According to the commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Major General Francis Ofori, these activities, if not checked, could also undermine development of the blue economy. He's therefore calling for international intervention to curb the menace. He was speaking at a meeting with officials of the Japanese Embassy and UNDP in Ghana to kickstart a one-year project to enhance border security.
Constantly scanning the security environment to gauge the threats and evolving insecurity dynamics in the sub-region in efforts to prevent these threats from escalating. To this end, Excellency, we wish to bring two key issues which impact on human security and require intervention to your attention. The first has to do with the illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, IUU for short. The impact of IUU in the Gulf of Guinea is... The chairman of ECOWAS and the president of our own Republic of Ghana recently focused regional attention to the challenges associated with maritime security in his opening remarks at the Summit of Heads of State and Government in Accra. The KIPTC is keen to play its part through research and capacity development to enhance technical competencies at the operational level in these areas. Now, the second issue relates to the unfolding terrorism or security situation in Burkina Faso. This matter could potentially escalate and spread across the sub-region, and this deserves attention. The KIPTC would like to bring these issues to the attention of the Japanese government and the UNDP and seek ways to collaborate to intervene in the coming year.
Professor Tombola Gustav is asking African universities to develop educational programs that support their economies. He told Joy Business's Odilia and Tiamwa that Rwanda does not plan to export agric products but services. Professor Tombola added currently universities are skewing their programs to support the services sector.
You know, the current agriculture is not of the way our ancestors used to do. We are doing agriculture using technology. Technology or agriculture uses technology. We are developing softwares for irrigation, for example. We are not saying that it should be agriculture. When it comes to Rwanda, for example, if I can talk of the Rwandan context, if a university is to start, it has to develop or to design programs. I believe it is everywhere. That's how it is. And then the first thing is to assess the local market. If there is a gap, if there is a need. When you come to the Rwandan context, agriculture or students in the Faculty of Agronomy, this is not a need. Because we have the University of Rwanda offering the agriculture sector in education. We have another university offering agriculture, meaning that if you are going to apply for agriculture, the first question which will be asked from the Ministry of Education will be, what are you bringing new comparing to others? Rather, you need to bring in the programs which will help the agriculture to be more and business information technology. But again, if I come to Rwanda, being a country of like 27,000 hectares, okay, it's a small country, 27,000 kilometers, square kilometers. It's a small country.
With about a population of 12 million?
Exactly, a population of 12 million. What we are trying in Rwanda, we are trying to shift from the agriculture, from the industry, which is heavy, to the service industry. Tourism, for example, the service, like technology is a service, the banking is a service. That's how the transport, those are the sectors Rwanda is focusing on. Maize, for example, instead of going for agriculture when we don't have enough space, we leave agriculture for other countries, even though we cannot say, yeah, no, we are not going to invest more in agriculture, but our focus is on the service. Our focus as Rwanda is on the service delivery, is on the industry of service.
Professor Tombola Gustav there, speaking with Odilia Ntiamwa. That's it for business. There's more coming up on the marketplace. Up next, sports. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports on Joy News. Today, I am Muftau Nabila Ablai. Ghana Boxing Authority presidential candidate Henry Malin Spain says he has noted some flaws in the administration of the sport in the last few years and will fill the gaps when given the mandate by delegates in this week's election. According to him, boxing appears to be centered in Accra, and he intends to extend the umbrella of the authority across the country. He was speaking on Joy Sports Link with Nathaniel Atto.
The fact of the matter is, I have broader plans. One of them is having to emphasize on the regions, because it looks as if it's an area where we've ignored for some time. But everything comes, especially in boxing, comes with money, funding, and I think that is what had drawn us back a little. If the funding is there, we would have been able to do a lot in the regions also. I mean, touring the region, I realized the fact that as long as we do have some certain stream of funding, we would be able to produce good boxers in the regions, good weights, mostly the heavier weights. So that's one of my plans. The secretariat, getting the secretariat, done. I mean, we need a complete office like the GFA does have. We don't need. We've been in the small office for quite a long time. GPA is highly recognized institution.
Now let's talk about Accra House of Folk, where their board member of the club says that he has revealed the Phobians will build an academy by the end of the year. According to him, winning the Ghana Premier League is just a tip of the iceberg as they intend to dominate domestic football in the country.
We are building, what do you call it, a new institution, an academy, beautiful academy. We are coming to 4 playing fields. Natural, when I say 3 will be natural and 1 will be Astrotech. We are building a place where the boys will live. They will live there like you have in any boarding institutions. We are going to have a place also for those who like probably to hire and come and stay there when they come to play in Ghana. We shall have a huge tennis court, a huge swimming pool. I mean, all these things are in the pipeline as I told. Work is ongoing. It's not a question of work is ongoing. And very soon, our secretariat that you know in Accra, we are going to bring it down and build a brand new 4-story glass house.
Wow.
Indeed. We want to finish all this before the end of the year.
And that is a board member of Accra House of Oak, Dr. Nyao Tomaklo, talking about the vision of the board to put up an academy. That's our tower permitters for sports on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Apply. However, there's more sports on myjoyonline.com. The leading story is that the Ghana Football Association has opened investigation into alleged match fixing involving Interlice and Ashanti Gold. Up next is Showbiz.
Away from Mr. Easy, rapper Sarkodie has revealed his yet-to-be-released album, No Pressure, is a combination of all genres and that everyone should look forward to it. According to the rapper, the 16-track album is for everyone and not just his fans. He spoke to Jay Foley.
I think it's always visitors and also having a fan base back here. It naturally breeds that. We want to involve them because they care. And also make the album as a Sac Nation Sarkodie album, not an album from Sarkodie given to Sac Nation.
Yeah. What should we take from this album after listening to all the 16 songs on this album?
I think just try anything that you want to try. You could try hip hop, you could do some slow jam, just try sounds.
Yeah.
You know, just be dynamic with it.
So congratulations on the album.
So much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Katie.
Now, Dancehall Acts episode is calling on the public and industry players to appreciate the efforts of young talents and help them to grow. According to him, new acts and comparing new acts and old acts is not the way to go.
People should just appreciate the fact that we have new people also championing the fact. I always say this, Brandy, imagine that whatever happened 2 years ago at VGMAs, the board said that, okay, now you know what, this is a personal or a private company hosting this, and we're taking reggae dancehall totally out of the scheme. Do you know how many aspiring young artists dream that you've killed? You know, so the fact that we're here and we're still in there, it means that we'll continue whatever they are doing. Big up Shatta and big up Stone. Anytime, big up Samini, big up all the legends who started this. We're still here. So just appreciate the fact that we're here and that we're doing it.
Right.
You know?